Hello everyone, I am KHALI-SYKES, the creator of Apparition Hospital, a weird poor medical hangout game on Roblox, and today I wanted to wish you all a very happy Christmas. Apparition Hospital's first holiday themed update is here, and considering it's Christmas, the holiday of love and giving, I want to take this moment to thank you guys for sticking around for this long. This game is my baby and I'm so grateful for this community, so it only felt right to bring the Christmas spirit to the hospital. As far as content, this update is mostly seasonal aesthetic changes. Now, let's begin! As much as I would love to give everyone a holiday-themed design, I ultimately decided to grant this honor to Angel and the Doctor. I picked them because they're a duo with them working in the surgical ward together. Also, the Doctor is one of the most popular characters and I am personally very fond of Angel and thought she deserved some spotlight. I created some concept art to plan out what I want their Christmas designs to look like, and then I got to work. While I will be drawing their seasonal designs, I will also properly introduce them. While I do introductions for any new characters and devlogs, I haven't done any for the staff characters as they were already there when the game was released, leading to them being kind of shoved in the background as far as character accessibility goes. So I'll take this moment to introduce these characters properly. I also want to make a complete character introduction video once everyone's been added. Let's start with Angel. Angel's casual design looks like this. She wears a standard nurse uniform in light blue, indicating that she works as a general nurse. She also frequently helps out in the surgical ward. This is her seasonal design. Her blue dress has now been replaced by a dark green plaid one. She also wears striped stockings and has some holly leaves in her hair. Angel's seasonal design was very much inspired by the classic depiction of the Christmas elf, which makes sense considering she is the Doctor's assistant. Angel has been working at the Apparition Hospital the shortest out of anyone currently working there. Despite her upbeat demeanor, Angel has deep trauma. She got involved with them after she moved to St. Andrews after she was released from a 4-year prison sentence due to her committing third-degree murder out of self-defense. She's currently residing in the St. Andrews State for Troubled Girls, a shelter for mentally ill women where she was assigned a therapist. When walking back to the state one day, she was attacked by an entity which was killed by the Doctor, as he had been out entity hunting that day. He took her to the hospital to treat the injuries the entity had inflicted on her. She stayed there for a couple days where she slowly got to meet everyone. Secretly, Angel had always wanted to become a nurse, and spending time in this environment rekindled her love for the profession. After the long conversation with Sindri, she agreed to let Angel work in the hospital while she studied for a medical degree on the side. The hospital has helped Angel a lot. She started out a closed-off wreck. She battled with severe depression and most days she had trouble getting out of bed and was always moments away from a breakdown. Now, after finding a place where she can do what she enjoys and spending time with her newfound family, she has improved a lot. While she's still depressed, she has completely turned her life around for the better, and hopes that she can one day completely move on from what happened in her youth. She put a lot of work into getting where she is now, and she's grateful that she's still here after all her hardships. This is Angel's completed seasonal design. I hope you like it and that you enjoy learning about her as well. She's one of my favorite characters in the game, so I'm glad I got to give her some special treatment. She deserves it. Now, let's move on to the Doctor. This is his casual design. He wears a blue suit and lab coat. His outfit is unique compared to the other staff characters considering he's the only man working there. I think the suit matches him perfectly though. This is his seasonal design. I couldn't back down from putting him into a Santa-inspired outfit. I think you might have already noticed, but he looks noticeably different compared to his other artwork. I have been getting dissatisfied by how Doc looks for a very long time. Like Trudy, my issues stem from his body type. He's too thin, feminine and young looking, which doesn't suit him. I always pictured him looking way more masculine than he currently does, in both face and body. I picture him looking a little older and having a much sturdier body type, which I wanted to test in his seasonal design. I'll work out his final design update when I update his character artwork once the Christmas update is over. Now, let me tell you about him. The Doctor is one of the founding members of the Apparition Hospital. After all, you can't begin a hospital without a surgeon. For starters, he is a lot older than he looks. Since he's been working at the hospital for so long that then reality space has begun to take a physical effect on his body. He's begun to age much slower. Despite looking like he's in his mid-30s, he's actually 86 years old. He was born sometime in the 1920s, studied for a medical degree, and after graduation was enrolled in the US military on the medical team. He was drafted on Operation Neptune in 1944, more commonly known as D-Day, and helped liberate several European towns from Nazi Germany, making him a war veteran. He returned to America but was so traumatized from the war that he was unable to go back to working in the medical field because even the sight of blood reminded him of the war. On top of that, he also lost his lifelong best friend in the war, which caused an even bigger hit to his already fragile mental health. Doc began to isolate himself, turned to alcohol, and completely withdrew from his social life. He even resigned from his position at the clinic he worked in, was out of work for nearly 5 years, letting himself be fully consumed by his depression and grief until he met Cindy, who had just purchased the rights to the Apparition Hospital and was looking for people who could join her on her mission to treat supernatural illness. Doc was intrigued by her and decided to hear her out for the hell of it. After all, he didn't have much to lose, so even if this mysterious woman's vision didn't work out for him, he wouldn't have to worry about any losses. However, he began to bond with her and Joyce as the three of them began working together, and his mental health slowly began to improve. During this time, he mostly dedicated his time to researching supernatural illness, as he was still unable to operate. However, after 4 years he finally gathered the courage to operate again. It was a quick non-risk surgery and he proved to be exceptional at his work. Ever since then he's been operating again and even returned to medical school for 2 more degrees and even wrote a PhD on supernatural illness and his findings. Nowadays he is a leading researcher in the supernatural field alongside Henry and has generally regained control of his life. However, he is not completely free from his depression. It still rears its head every once in a while, usually in the form of nightmares. He also has issues with bottling things up, though Henry calls him out on it when she notices something's up. And that concludes the doctor's introduction. I hope you enjoyed learning about him. Last but not least, I also wanted to introduce Bartholomew, the little goat companion of Henry. I'll try and keep this one short though. Bartholomew was abandoned by his herd and was found at the side of the road by Joyce, who took the freezing kid with her to the hospital. At first Henry wasn't all too thrilled with having a goat on the premises, as neither of them knew how to take care of such an animal and she feared he would be a sanitary risk. Eventually Joyce managed to convince Henry to at least keep him until he was nursed back to health and old enough to be resold to a local farmer. However, they fell absolutely head over heels for him and decided to keep him. Bartholomew is incredibly docile, social and attentive. He's very smart too, responding to all sorts of commands Henry has taught him over the years she's had him. Bartholomew has taken on the unofficial role of therapy animal in the hospital. When he's not in Henry's office, he roams free where he will happily hang out with patients and anyone visiting. The kids staying in the children's ward are especially fond of him. Bartholomew actually jump-started Henry's love for animals. She had never really been an animal person, but Bartholomew changed all of that. She tries to nurse sick animals back to health when she finds them, and has also adopted a second pet since then. Gabriel the centipede. Henry has grown to care for insects and animals generally considered ugly or scary, especially since they are often ignored. That was a long ramble, but I hope you enjoyed learning about my characters. However, do remember that the backstories are subject to change. Also, none of this stuff is enforced. If you have your own interpretations of my characters, those are valid as well. I wanted to give the map a Christmas theme makeover to truly hone in on the festive vibes. I had an idea to dot about some snow and Christmas trees, just like how some stores decorate their space for the Christmas season. I decided to use free models for these. I'm not that good at modeling trees yet, so I decided to use something pre-made. I did edit it a bit though. One thing I did make were the Christmas garlands that are hung up in the hallway and the cafeteria. I drew these out in Paint Tools I, which is my drawing software of choice. I started with a sketch and then moved on to linear and coloring. I made sure to pay attention to the symmetry of the artwork. I was going to implement the garlands using texture decals, so I had to make sure the design looped seamlessly. Thankfully everything looked flawless when I implemented everything. Next up, it was time to make some music exclusive to this update. When the Christmas update is over, the track will be removed or repurposed elsewhere. I made it like how I made all my other songs. I use a browser program called BandLab to make all the music for the game. I start by looking for samples on a website called Sample Focus that hosts free-to-use user-generated samples that anyone can use freely. I look for a melody. I usually pick something piano or ambient sounding. I also make sure I pick one that sounds a little bit melancholic and doesn't have any obnoxious effects on it. Sample focus is a mixed bag sometimes. Sometimes you will find something great and sometimes you find something that's straight garbage. Not all samples are made equal. For this one I kept it simple. I found a nice piano melody that I looped a few times and edited with some effects, then I had some rain and staticky noises to give the song some background elements and depth. One of my biggest sources of inspiration for the soundtrack of Apparition Hospital is the RPG Maker horror game Yumi Nikki. The songs in Yumi Nikki all consist of simple melodies that loop. I picked a similar style for my game not only because I love Yumi Nikki but also because it's a very accessible style for beginners. I'm not a skilled musician by any means, but using this method has allowed me to create something that still sounds decent. I do want to move away from this method eventually. While it's easy, it's also limiting and I want to be able to move into more advanced forms of producing and just make music for the sake of making music. I'd love to make a dark ambient or black metal album sometime next year. With the music done and implemented, it was time to move on to the last but most important things, implementing the NPCs and adding the exclusive badge for this update. I wanted to relocate Angela and the Doctor to the main hallway so they're more accessible. Also, it's fun to move the characters out of their dedicated location every once in a while. There are no NPCs standing in the hallway as of now, so it's nice to have these two characters populate the main hallway. I also decided to give them some new dialogue that's also exclusive to the update. You can ask them about their costumes and what they think of the holiday. It's fun to have unique dialogue like this. Their dialogue was outdated anyway, so it's nice to freshen it up. And last but not least, it was time to implement the badge. This was done a day after the update was released and I didn't record anything because it was a pretty quick thing to implement and I was tired and had back pain. The badge is very simple. You will get it automatically upon joining the game, just like the badge for newcomers. Just like a lot of the other content in this update, this badge is exclusive and will be removed when the update is over. I plan to remove all the Christmas content on the 10th of January. You'll have plenty of time to get it, but don't push your luck. Before I end the video, I want to provide a quick update on the fan art. I mentioned in previous videos that I was having some issues implementing it because my laptop is having issues. I have managed to find a solution. I'm still in the process of getting everything finished, but I'm making progress on finally adding all the fan art. If you've seen my One Piece special, you've already seen a lot of it, but I have received more since then. Thank you all so much for your fan art. And with that, the Christmas update for Apparition Hospital is done. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.